So, at a certain point, Sony has announced that they're changing the team of their mobile division, and I thought that was it. That was going to be the one. When I saw the designs, when I saw the triple cameras, the AMOLED display, I thought it was going to be the one, and they got very close, but not perfect. So, the design of the phone is very similar to the old monolith or monoblock old Sony designs. I picked up the white one because I generally believe that the black one would attract far more fingerprints than the actual white one, so hence the color. On the side, you have the hybrid slot, the SIM tray, micro SD card. The antennas are on the side. It's an aluminum frame. On the back, you have a protruding triple lens camera system, regular, wide, and telephoto. Sony logo. NFC is up here. You have a dedicated camera shutter here, and you have volume rockers, fingerprint scanner, and the power button here. The reason these two are separated because if they haven't been, they wouldn't be able to sell the phone in the United States. So that's pretty much it. So they had the option of disabling the fingerprint scanner in the USA like they did with the older models, or generally just do it like this, hence the reason that's separate. And for the design, that's pretty much it. You get bottom firing speaker here, USB-C port. Sorry, let me refocus that. Yeah, bottom firing speaker. There is a grill here. You get a USB-C port and your microphone, which I generally tend to block from time to time, but that's pretty much it. There is a boosted tweeter here, and both of these in pair generally work like a pair of stereo sounding speakers. Not as good as the old ones where you had both firing at you from the front, but it's pretty good. It's pretty decent, and in this particular setup, it's actually fairly balanced. And as for the design, that's it. I generally do believe that it's very slippery. It does have a glass back with no wireless charging. I would have preferred if they went with the industrial design so that it's not slippery. You have to put on a case on it. I took it out of my case because of this actual review, but I do not take it out of the case because it slips out of your pocket very, very easily. So keep that in mind. Even though it's a very elegant, very gorgeous design, honestly, it's very difficult to carry it the way it is, and the cases unfortunately make it very ugly, but it is what it is. Other than that, very sturdy. Had no cracks, no squeaks, no issues with it. Buttons are tactile, and that's pretty much it. So, the internals you already know. You have a Snapdragon 855 inside, coupled with 6 GB of RAM, Adreno 640. Generally a 2019 flagship, with one difference. This one in particular being a phone with a 21:9 aspect ratio display. Now, to make one thing clear, my camera cannot really show you how good this display is, and this is pitch black. It's not a bubblegum Samsung or Huawei display. It is an AMOLED, but very, very color accurate, as in 100% color accurate AMOLED display on the front. As for the ratio, a lot of people are bashing this phone because it's a 21:9 aspect ratio, but keep in mind that the majority of Chinese phones, Xiaomi for example, or OnePlus, which is a sub-brand of Oppo, they deal with 19.5:9 or 20:9, so pretty much this isn't a really big difference. The difference is that here you have a small top bezel and a small bottom bezel, so the other phones, given that they have a full screen display, actually look to be smaller than this one is. But in reality, when you start browsing Instagram, and I'm sorry I cannot show that because it's personal details, but when you start browsing Instagram or Facebook for example, or I can show you, you actually get a lot of real estate to deal with, and for browsing and content, it's absolutely amazing. In all due honesty, it would be impossible for me to go back from 21:9 aspect ratio to actually using a regular 18:9 or even 16:9. 16:9 would be absolutely impossible. The display is very color accurate. I'm shooting this on my wife's Mi 9 Xiaomi, so I cannot really catch how deep it is, but trust me when I say very deep and very, very vibrant and very color accurate. It is awesome for watching movies, especially given that Sony's technology bumps up the quality of the actual video what you're watching. For example, I don't know, I have what would actually be, let's say, Solo Star Wars. Yet again, the camera cannot really show it, but this panel 21 by 9 is absolutely color accurate, blacks are pitch black, and the stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos make this an awesome experience. I honestly just hope this video doesn't get blocked because of this content, but I'll take a shot, I'll risk it. Anyway, for media consumption, this phone is an absolute beast. You have Dolby Atmos here, which is real-time processing software for actual music. You get a choice. If you go into the music app and you go into your settings, you don't have the regular settings what you would have in previous Xperias anymore. When you go to audio settings, Dolby Atmos on and off and upscaling to high-res audio, and that's it. All other equalizer settings and everything pretty much is done through the Dolby Atmos app, and that's it. The regular Sony EQ app does not exist anymore. The sound coming out of this phone is absolutely magnificent, and yes, there is no audio jack, but with the LDAC technology, with aptX HD codecs that come out of this phone, you do not need the audio jack. I've tested this phone with Xiaomi's One More triple driver Bluetooth headset and the Audio-Technica MX50 Bluetooth headset. Now, for the Audio-Technica headset, I tried it with both cable and Bluetooth actually sounds better because the LDAC is pushing higher volume onto my headphones, and believe it or not, for the first time Sony made a phone that's actually loud. So the bottom line is, for media consumption, music, movies, YouTube, video games, this phone is an absolute monster. I'm gonna play a song for you from one of my playlists. I don't know. That's Dolby Atmos off. So with Dolby Atmos, even on the speakers, you get higher volume and far more depth. As for the audio and the actual display, that's it. Display and audio are absolutely amazing, and that's the bottom line. Now, cameras is where this phone is utterly terrible. I thought that they would get it. The setup is very simple. There are triple 12 megapixel cameras on the back. Like I said at the beginning, you get the regular one, the wide angle one, and the telephoto one. The wide angle one does not have autofocus. That's number one. Number two, the selfie camera on the front is 8 megapixel, and it's utterly bad. This is a picture of, these are a few images I prepared to share. This is a selfie picture of me and my son. As you can see, there are flares all over the place. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that you cannot even see hair. Like, the amount of post-processing that goes on is enormous. This camera comes out washed out. There is no dynamic range. It cannot handle exposure. I think that for a $700 phone, this selfie camera is absolutely unacceptable. As for the front camera, the hardware is good, the software is crap. The post-processing in the pictures is absolutely ridiculous. If you look at this on the phone, it kind of looks fine, but God forbid I look at this on a computer monitor, the amount of post-processing that goes on is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. In all due respect and fairness, the phone does isolate the background pretty nicely. It gets that kind of a macro / bokeh shot. The foreground isn't that bad. It's fairly okay, but the background is absolutely destroyed. This is a nighttime photo. Yet again, here on the left side, you see a flare. The cameras just cannot handle flare. The details in the background are absolutely crushed. Like, you cannot see anything. On the phone's display, it looks fairly alright. If you were to use this on a full-size monitor, absolutely impossible. When the lighting is fairly okay, and this is where the phone's night mode triggered, this is an actually good photo. So when this phone hits it, when this phone wants to be good, it comes out great. This is a difference between the wide angle camera and the regular one. The regular one actually got the colors of that particular scene right. Like, this is exactly what it was. But if you look at it, the trees, the details are crushed. They're so processed and blurry, it's impossible. The background is absolutely destroyed. Foreground is fairly okay, but in the actual shadows, you cannot see anything. It's too dark. The dynamic range on this phone does not exist. And I'm talking point and shoot, not manual. The wide angle camera presented different colors, and yet again, there is no autofocus on this one. This is the difference between HDR on and HDR off. This is point and shoot auto mode, which is very, very bleached out. Like, the exposure is absolutely bad, and there is almost no dynamic range. When I turn to manual mode with HDR on, I got this, which came out far, far, far better with more detail and color is more vibrant. If you look at the actual flowers, they came out looking very good. Yet again, the difference between auto mode and HDR mode. In auto mode, there are no buildings in the background because the camera cannot catch them. With the HDR turned on in manual mode, there are 2 additional buildings in the background. So as you can see, this is a photo of my son, also regular shooter, regular lens. There is absolutely no hair. It looks like he's wearing a cheap toupee from AliExpress or whatnot. So the cameras are just generally bad. And like, if they fix it with a software tweak, it'll be awesome. But in general, they are very bad. Now, as for the gaming performance, this phone crushes every single game. I'm preparing a gaming review, a dedicated gaming review video for this phone, and I will post that in the description down below when it is up. It's not going to be up at the time of this video being launched, so wait for that, please. But it's worth it. Just worth knowing that this phone crushes every single game. Asphalt 9 at 60 frames, Fortnite at 60 frames, like, absolutely destroys it. Battery life. This is the second gripe I have with the phone. It's not the last thing with the battery. I get between 5 and 6 hours of screen on time with heavy usage. YouTube, videos, movies, heavy gaming, like really heavy usage, and it really goes up to 6 hours of screen on time. That's not the problem. The problem is that my old Xiaomi Mi 9 would completely charge within an hour. This one takes 2 hours and it's terribly slow. It really charges slow. Now, I understand that they are working on battery care and they want to preserve the lifetime of the battery, and that's fine. But 80 watts, really, at 2019, I mean, just doesn't work. But yeah, you will get decent battery life. And like I said, there is no wireless charging, even though there is a glass back. So that's pretty much it. So that sums it up pretty much. If you have any additional questions, I try to keep this as light as possible. Please post them down below. Like I said, for media consumption, the bottom line. For media consumption, music, the phone is an absolute beast, probably the best on the market. For video games, definitely. But in all due honesty, anything else, cameras, doesn't work. Have a good one, and I'll see you later.